The Chi Food Truck Fest celebrates Chicago's rich and diverse culinary culture. The fest takes place every Friday through October 4th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Daly Plaza, 50 West Washington. Escape the ordinary lunch and enjoy local food favorites with the lakefront breeze against the backdrop of a Chicago landmark, the Chicago Picasso sculpture. The Chi Food Truck Fest is hosted by the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. For more information, visit chicago.gov/Food Truck Fest. Now, I know because you listen to this show, you love Chicago. In fact, you probably know your community very well. Maybe you're involved in a block club or some other neighborhood organization because you're passionate about the place you live. Well, you might be able to turn that passion into a profession, helping others find neighborhoods that they love with a career in real estate. When you earn your license with Realtors Real Estate School, you'll have access to a community of real estate professionals who can offer guidance and mentorship. Learn how you can get started this summer. Visit realtorsrealestateschool.com/begin. Today on CityCast Chicago, we have talked wine and vino vocabulary. We've talked beer and breweries, and now it's time to talk about the best cocktails you could find in the city. Here to give us a little cocktail guide is Infatuation Chicago's John Ringer. It's Wednesday, September 11th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. John, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Jacoby. It's so great to be back.
Now, I know this first question is a tough one because I know you've been to multiple places, not only for dinner, but for drinks. But if you had to just picture one or two, when I say your favorite cocktail in Chicago, what is the cocktail you're picturing and where did you get it from?
So, yeah, you're right. It is a tough question, but I think one of the first ones that definitely pops into my head is a cocktail from Kumiko, which is a Japanese themed bar in West Loop. And it is one of the old fashions that they have. It's a Genmaicha old fashioned. And what I really like about the old fashioned, this one specifically, is like it has some of the booziness that you want, but it's still light and delicate. And it's made, with the usual whiskey, but they also have like a green tea shochu in it, and it also has a dry sherry that's part of it. And so somehow it keeps the booziness, but stays super refreshing at the same time. And I feel like that's not something that you always run into with an old fashioned. So it always hits the spot there.
For an old fashioned to be the first drink you stated, kind of shows how we're on the same page, because maybe this is recency bias, but when I just picture a cocktail in my mind, the first one I think of is Bronzeville Winery's Uncle Yam's Old Fashioned.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that one is so good too.
The Uncle Nearest, the house-made sweet potato syrup, the bitters, but really it's the roasted marshmallow on top, which you think of an old fashioned, you think of the orange peel. I'd never seen an old fashioned that had a roasted marshmallow on top. And so it just, when I think of an old fashioned now, it's the one that I picture in my mind, at least over the last couple of months. So we kind of on the same page with that first one, but I want to stay with Kumiko. I have never been, but if you go on any list, if you go on Chicago Reddit, it's one that comes up a lot. Is it worth the hype?
I think it definitely is. And what I like about Kumiko is it really feels like kind of a special occasion bar, but it doesn't feel super done up where like you have to kind of really prepare yourself mentally for it. Like it has such this relaxing quality, but every drink that comes out of there is so detailed and so pristine. And like you have the utmost confidence that whatever you order drink wise is going to be so good.
The Moonrise Daiquiri looks amazing. Just from the ingredients in it, that looks like one I really want to try. Pineapple, cantaloupe, fennel, papaya, like all of these tasting notes inside it. That's one I definitely want to try. So for you, where are some of your favorite bars in the city? Are they concentrated in one neighborhood? Are they spread across?
I think like just bars in general, they're kind of spread all over. Like I love Best Intentions and Meadowlark in Logan Square, but also like I grew up in Albany Park, so I love that Bokeh is there now. I also love Nine Bar in Chinatown and also Osito's Tap in Little Village. That's what's so great about Chicago's bar scene is that there's so many spots now that you can go to any neighborhood and you'll probably find like something, whether it's just like the local dive watering hole that has been there forever and is still like such a great place to hang, or like some new modern cocktail spot.
You mentioned Osito's Tap over in Little Village, and I love their mezcal flight. Are you big on flights? Like, I like to get a good tequila flight. I like a good mimosa flight. What about you? Are you somebody who likes to sample a few different cocktails via the flight?
So I like the flight when I want to try to isolate like a specific, spirit. But I kind of like getting, individual cocktails more because it's kind of a chance to see like what creativity can they come up with, with different ingredients and different spirits. And I think those are what differentiates each bar, each restaurant, what they personally come up with versus, oh yeah, we have like a good supply of these. That is interesting, but what's more interesting to me is like what they can do with those spirits.
Let's talk about creativity, not only from the showmanship, which we know some Chicago bars know, but also the classics. But if you're looking for a unique, artisanal, a designer cocktail in a sense, where are some places that come to mind for you?
Wow. Okay. Good question. I think like for me, the first thing that comes to mind is Meadowlark up in Logan Square. So what's cool about this spot is that they have a seasonal rotating menu, but it's all themed. Like the first one that they did was based off of birds. The second one they did was based off of like locations in like the Chicago World's Fair. Right now, they're doing what I think they call it like the composition notebook or something, and it's supposed to like
childhood activities for grown-ups.
Yeah, it's like a throwback to like all the childhood stuff that you loved. And they have some really interesting and crazy drinks. Like one I had there was like based off of a pizza. And so it's like, if you love like savory cocktails, like this is it. Like it has tomato, it has Parmesan, it has basil, and it's like a gin-based cocktail. It manages to still drink really well without tasting like straight up tomato soup, Like it's like so awesome.
I want to pour on the praise, man. In terms of their menu, if you go to meadowlarkchicago.com, the way they have the drinks set up in these pictures, like Saturday morning cartoons, movie night, sleepover, they all look like AI designed pictures. Like they just typed in the AI, like, I want to see a cocktail with some Cheez-Its and some Fruit Loops. Show me that. They're very beautiful pictures.
And I think that's like a cool trend that we're like seeing in cocktails more recently too, is that people are like pushing the boundaries of like what can a cocktail be.
No, I love that. And so outside of Meadowlark, what's another place you think does creativity, does showmanship very well?
For sure. So I got two spots. I got one in Pilsen called the Alderman, kind of like a speakeasy-esque setup. It's within Pilsen Yards. It doesn't feel totally like a speakeasy because there is like a bright neon sign that says the Alderman.
Right.
So you don't really have to like look too hard. You're like, oh, that's where it's at. But yeah, they have this interesting drink that uses baijiu, which is like a strong Chinese liquor made from sorghum, called the Sichuan Panda. And it's like got yuzu sake, that Chinese liquor, and Sichuan peppercorn. So it's like boozy, but refreshing, but also funky and spicy. So that one's really cool. And then there's a bar in Portage Park called Nightshade, which is in the basement of another bar called Moonflower. And they have like some wild, also like kind of food-based drinks. Like they have this thing called a son of a gun, which is, it's kind of like a chips and salsa martini almost.
Yeah.
Like you can taste the tortilla chips, you can taste like poblano pepper, but it's like gin and vodka mixed in. And it's surprisingly is like super balanced. And then they also have another drink there, which is based off of like Korean shaved ice called bingsu. And it's got like green tea, strawberry, soju, and like condensed milk all over this like crushed ice. It's awesome. You can kind of have like a meal and dessert, but only like from cocktails,
One thing I'm clearly showing in this conversation is how much I like trying mezcal. And so I've never been to Nightshade, but as soon as I looked at their menu, the bait and switch with the mango, the olive, the mezcal, the little carbonation, that immediately grabbed me. And then I've been to the Alderman before, and I really like the Dr. Green Thumb. Again, mezcal, I like my mezcal mixed with other liquor. So this is right up my alley. It's got mezcal, it's got rum in it. They also got some toasted rice green tea in it, some island bitters. And it also reminds me of a drink I just had at Punch House, the Cutlass Supreme, which I think is just another, I love the name, but mezcal, Arepo tequila, Jamaican rum with hibiscus, melon, and lime. You throw mezcal in there with some good flavors. I'm probably going to get it as at least one of my options. And so we've talked about some of our places we think do creativity very well. What about if you're just looking for the classics done right?
I think like you can't really go wrong with Violet Hour in Wicker Park. Like Violet Hour, I feel, was kind of the first bar in Chicago to really put craft cocktails like on the map for Chicago, and they're still killing it. They do have their like more complex and like experimental stuff, but like ask for an old fashioned, ask for a Manhattan and Negroni there, and like it will be spectacular. I think another spot that comes to mind for classics is Lazy Bird in West Loop, which is in the basement of the Hoxton Hotel. And they have like a huge cocktail menu. It's like 52 cocktails. You open that book up and they all have these like cute little illustrations that go with them. But they make their classics really well. And what's cool is like you can sometimes post up there and like catch some live jazz.
Last time I went to Lazy Bird, I feel like we just stumbled upon this. It felt like 1980s Soul Train vibe that was going on. Like the band that night was doing fantastic. It can be a little bit tight, but I feel like the rotation of people in and out is pretty consistent. And then the Violet Hour is a place that I heard a lot about, and I think I went for the first time maybe a year and a half ago. And it does still live up to its place, but it's slowly become looked at as one of the OGs, one of the places you got to tip your hat to for pushing Chicago's cocktail game a little bit forward.
For sure.
With the election less than 2 months away, now is the perfect time to make your plan if you're voting. You want to vote by mail? Vote early, or you just want to know where your polling place will be on election day? Head to chicagoelections.gov to get started. But since you're a CityCast listener, you're probably thinking, Kobe, I already know that. Well, how about this? You can take it a step further by serving as an election judge in your community to help run a smooth and accessible election day on November 5th. Now, you must be a U.S. citizen and a registered voter in Cook County, but you can earn anywhere from $170 to $230 for your service. And if you speak Spanish, Hindi, Polish, Korean, Tagalog, or a Chinese dialect, the Chicago Board of Elections definitely needs your help. So head to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov to learn more and apply. You ever been interested in clear aligners like Invisalign, but you're worried about the cost or whether it fits into your busy lifestyle? Well, with Aligner Experts, you don't have to compromise on your smile. As orthodontists, they've had the privilege of witnessing the remarkable transformations of patients' smiles, which often can translate into a boost in their confidence. Aligner Experts is redefining convenient and accessible clear aligner solutions. With customizable treatments, transparent pricing, cutting-edge 3D scanners, and remote monitoring technology, you could transform your smile through the convenience of your own schedule. Stop in at their West Loop, Old Town, or Lakeview clinic today for your complimentary smile assessment. Aligner Experts, your destination for advanced clear aligner solutions. So maybe you out here trying to live a greener life. Maybe you want to reduce the amount of food waste heading to Chicago's landfills and you're thinking about composting. If so, you got to try Waste Not. Here's how it works. Waste Not gives you a 5-gallon bucket with an airtight lid. That's where you're going to toss your food scraps, cooked or raw, paper products like napkins and coffee filters, and anything else that's certified compostable. Then the Waste Not team comes and collects your full bucket in electric service vehicles, might I add, and they leave you a clean, empty one. This happens every week or every other week, depending on your needs. Plus, for my gardeners out there, y'all gonna be able to get back some of the finished compost you helped create without ever having to deal with all the gross parts of the process. So give Waste Not a try and check out wastenotcompost.com. CityCast Chicago listeners can test the service with a free month by using promo code CityCastCompost. One of the things I love about The Infatuation is y'all give us great lists depending on what we are looking for, whether it's a place to go celebrate for an anniversary or birthday, or just some place to get a good happy hour. What is a good happy hour for you, and how do you define a good one? Because I've been finding it hard recently to get down with some of the happy hours in the city, especially ones that start and end before I get off work. I'm like, what you doing 3 to 5 for, G? I'm still at the crib. I need a little 4 to 7. Look, 5:30 to 7:30. Well, what makes a good happy hour for you, and what's some of your favorites?
Yeah, so I think like what makes a good happy hour for me is either it lasts longer so that it's actually not just an hour, or it is something where like the deals are so good that like, okay, I'm gonna like take a little bit early off, like, I'll take like an hour, 30 minutes, it's fine. One of my favorites, like, this is on the early side, but I think in terms of like balling out on a budget, Gilt Bar has like one of the best savings that you can get. Cause like you can get like, sure, it ends at 5:30 and they open at 4. But I think like when I talk about places where I'm like, I'll leave a little early, like this is one of them. Cause like you can get really good sliders for like $6, and I'm talking like burgers, fried chicken, meatballs, pulled pork.
They got muscles and bone marrow on that, right? You was going right there.
Yeah, like the bone marrow. You get a freaking bone marrow for $9 with like sourdough, caramelized onion jam. Like you said, the mussels and garlic bread. And that's like, it's not like a tiny amount of mussels. It's like a substantial amount for $12. And then like drink wise, you got like $6 wine, $7 like cocktails like martinis and old fashions. So I think Gilt Bar, yes, it does end like at 5:30, but if you can call off work a little early, I think it's worth it.
If you could slink out just a little earlier, it's worth it.
Exactly. And I was also going to bring up Daisy's too, because Daisy's has like a similar slider situation where it's also $6 sliders, but there it's like you can get a hot honey chicken on a biscuit, which is awesome for like happy hour. And like going along with like the chicken factor, like you have $10 gochujang wings, where I think you get like 6 of them, and then like half price beer, and then like you said, the cocktails there are great. Like you can get $10 margaritas, and I think they do like some sort of like Mardi Gras rum punch situation for $10 too. So like Daisy's is also a great spot for that.
Are you talking Daisy's in Logan or Daisy's Po' Boy in Hyde Park?
I'm talking about Daisy's Po' Boy in Hyde Park.
I just was telling Simone, I think in an episode last week, that Daisy's Po' Boy and Tavern, like it's the Po' Boy is up there. It's a little expensive, but I found it worth it. And the vibes have only gotten better as they've been open longer and longer, and they've been able to add more things to the menu. Just what Chef Eric has done on that small strip at 53rd Street. I know they got a third restaurant coming soon enough, and so yes, it's helped to kind of change that 2-3 block area.
So another spot that I really like, I think I might have talked about it in like previous podcasts for like patios maybe or something. It's called Lilac Tiger in Wicker Park, South Asian spot. So one of my favorite things there is their like tandoori honey chicken sandwich. But for happy hour, you can get that in like souped up saucy chicken nugget form. So they have these like spicy honey chicken nuggets, which come with like a gochujang dipping sauce. They also have this like Sichuan calamari with chili crisp. And you can get like a chai daiquiri, and like they have their own twist on an old fashioned there. So that spot is another great place for a happy hour, I would say.
I love that on the tandoori honey chicken, they say make it a fuster cluck. Add bacon, cheese, and hot sauce. Like I know what you're saying there, but I like what you did there. I like how you did that.
Lilac Tiger knows how to have fun.
So we've talked happy hours, we've talked classics, creativity. For you, if you're thinking best for the budget, a good cocktail place, maybe they also got good food as well, but you're not going to break the bank.
I have one specific place in mind. So for me, it's Best Intentions in Logan Square. So the great thing about Best Intentions is like it feels like a dive bar, but the quality of cocktails there is really, really better than your like sticky floor dive bar that smells like smoking is still legal inside there, But like, yeah, their cocktails, they start I think at like $9, and like their classic cocktails are only, I think the highest one is maybe like $12. So like each thing is like 9 to 12, and they have an excellent $6 burger. You can get a really good cup of shrimp there. You can also get matzo ball soup and an excellent cheesecake. So like it's such an interesting, kind of like dive cocktail situation. But I think in terms of best bang for your buck, that's my spot. I've been known to maybe eat 2 or 3 of those $6 burgers.
I was going to say, and they look like they got close to 40 different bourbons alone, but it looks like they have a great selection of pours, everything from Japanese spirits, a good Scotch collection, bourbon, mezcal, rum. Ooh, they got a rib witch right now that they highly promoting. I just be finding a reason to go to new places, and these conversations do it every single time. Are there any places on your list that we weren't able to get to that you want to remind people of?
Oh, I got one more. Since we're talking about like, time is of the essence, right? Trying to rush out of work to get someplace, or like before the happy hour closes, I will say Scofflaw has like a late night menu that's worth checking out.
Over in Logan Square, right next door to Giant. I've said it on the podcast probably 1,000 times, is one of my favorite places for dinner, and I almost always got to end up at Scofflaw for a little bit of time waiting.
Yeah, and what's great about that is like you show up at midnight, you get free cookies already. Awesome. But they also have like this late night burger special. I think that's served until 1 a.m. And so you can get like a burger, fries, and like one of their happy hour like cocktails. And like it's until 1 a.m. So like, sure, like we have the happy hours that go only until like 5:30, but like this one is an awesome spot for late at night.
Hey, John, I really appreciate you making time. If people want to see our entire list that we've talked about today, please head to our show notes and follow John and all of his work over at The Infatuation. We will drop a link for you. We appreciate you making time for CityCast Chicago every time.
Thank you so much, Jacoby. Always great to hang.
Some good news. Universal Soul Circus is back in Washington Park all month long, and they got the whole crew with them. They got the Extreme Riders out there, the Havana Night Skaters, the Wheel of Death, and so much more. I'm gonna drop a ticket link for you in our show notes. As always, I appreciate you for listening, for reading, for sharing us with your friends and family, for leaving us comments wherever you listen, like Apple Podcasts. Yeah, I read them all. I read the 1-star reviews, the 5-star reviews, the 4-star reviews that say, hey, I really love you, but don't forget who you are and what makes you, you. Hey, we read them all. We appreciate y'all for being here. We're going to be back bright and early on Monday. We'll talk to you then. Peace.